Hello, apologies for the late start this evening. I've been trying to get my dog to stop barking before we kicked off. He may start again, so if that happens, I apologise for the background noise. Yeah, I wasn't here last week for Easter. I just, I got a little bit burned out and I just felt like I needed a week off, so I hope that's okay. In fact, pretty much like Bitcoin, if we really look at this weekly chart here of Bitcoin, we've been in this sideways range, I think, basically since the 15th of February. I think that this is when the correction that we are in started, and that we are making a kind of funky triangle, irregular correction here, if you like. So if we go look at this on the daily, I'm just going to show you these red projection levels are, if I put it in, I'm in log scale. These red projection levels are Fibonacci projection levels, because they say that there's a relationship between wave 1 and wave 5, and I think that we are in a big wave 5. And so I've just got these levels up as fib, and you can see that they're working really well. So it's just basically a mathematical relationship between wave 1 and wave 5. And so I'm leaning on them at the moment as long as they work. These fib levels, they work a bit like a staircase. So if you get above them, they become support rather than resistance. In this case, we've got resistance here. For me, it's around 61,500. Your mileage may vary a little bit depending on what exchange you're on. And basically, I think we're struggling a bit at the big round number, 60,000. That does tend to happen. These lows and highs here were 50,000. These highs here were what we did when we got stuck at 40,000. So these big round numbers for Bitcoin are kind of pretty important. So we had 5 weeks, didn't we, when we got stuck at 40,000. If we come back, 25,000 wasn't a big deal, but as you know, we had a couple of weeks when we got stuck, kind of chewing our way through the 20,000 resistance. So that's just how, Bitcoin tends to work. So even though it says here that my next upside target is 97,500, which is more likely going to be 100,000, isn't it? Because of the big round number thing. That doesn't mean that we're not going to rally from here and kind of potentially bang our head at 70,000 for a bit, because that's just how it tends to work. We kind of go in these increments. It's funny, Ethereum used to be the same. It used to move and feel like $500 moves, and then and so the round number effect was very strong in ETH as well. So this is where we are now. I feel like we've been in this correction since the 15th of February, and we're in a triangle, and I feel like we need one more shallow dip before we go up again, and that we are really struggling to get through this level. But obviously I'm wrong. If we can get above 60,000, close above 60,000 and find some support from it. And so this dashed line I've got here is this 60,000 level. As you can see here on the daily, we still haven't managed to close above it since we did it on the 13th of March. And then the next day we came all the way back to 50,000. So, we need to get above it and hold above it. Here, we are looking very much like a double top. Whenever you have a double top, your support becomes, and it's very close. If we look in terms of price, this high was 61,197. This high was 61,206. So $9 in between the two. So that's as close, that in terms of Bitcoin, that's pretty close, that's close enough to be a double top. So that means the bottom of our range is down here. Okay, Adam Morton, I measured wave 1. If you missed it, matey, I'm sorry. I don't want to make everybody do it again. Would you mind rewinding at the end? Okay, their fib levels relative to wave 1. I think we're in a big wave 5 in Bitcoin. Okay, so that means whenever you have a double top, you're looking at a sideways range. So the first place that we're going to look back to, if we move lower here from this consolidation, is 58,362. that's very interesting, because if we go to the daily, that's pretty much back to where we closed on Friday night, which is the gap in the CME futures. So what we're basically talking about here is we may see a drop back to fill the gap in the CME futures. No, I haven't done the Ripple chart. All I've done is Bitcoin. I'm still on Bitcoin. I'm going to switch. I'm getting sucked into the comments. I need to focus. Sorry. Okay. So a little bit toppy, potentially a double top. If we break, when you have a double top, if you break the low in the middle, you traditionally go twice the distance. That's the double top trade. So if we were to do that, potentially that takes us down to 55,000 and these lows. And to be honest, the bigger level that I've got here is 54,000. So I think if we break this pivot level in the middle, for me, the pullback that I'd be looking for is 54,000. So 55,790 would also be 50% back of this rally. That's very common in corrections as well. And I know this seems a million miles away when, here we are, we're trading at 60,000 exactly and, looking really bullish. I'm just saying that if we break down from this consolidation, unfortunately, I think that that's where we're going. I have to say that all weekend, every time it looked like we were going lower, it got bid up. And so maybe, we're not going to drop. But I'm just saying, if we break lower from this consolidation, if we do have a couple of ugly days, then these are the supports, 58,300. And if that breaks, 55,000 for sure, and potentially a little bit lower, 54,000. So, that's where we are with Bitcoin. While we've been doing this, while we've been going sideways, unable to break down, really just chopping people up, trying to eat our way through the $60,000 level, a lot of altcoins have also been a little bit at resistance levels. They're in pullbacks, they're in very similar wave fours. There are a few that are really outperforming, but most of them, I would say, in a smaller or larger scale, are also in a little bit of a pullback. Now, if you're trading Bitcoin rather than long-term hodling and you're looking to add, so there's two things I'm looking for, either a pullback to 58,300, 58,600, or I'm looking for a break above 60,000 that holds and then it becomes support. So we would rally in it strongly above it, and then you would buy the next pullback. And then you know for sure that we are going up and not being chopped up and going sideways. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. One of the factors is, the biggest factor in Bitcoin is the dollar index. I've been watching the dollar index. I thought today, we had a bit of a rally yesterday. I thought today that we could get back above maybe this daily 200-day moving average. We were looking pretty strong this morning. Haven't managed it so far. And I'm always a little bit wary of early in the week moves, especially in Asian trading. So if we stay under this dollar index and 200 moving average and continue lower, this is going to help Bitcoin considerably. It's one of the biggest factors for Bitcoin. However, if we pop higher, that would be a drag on Bitcoin. Stock indexes look a little bit toppy, but not collapsing. So they're in a very similar position to Bitcoin. If we look at the S&P here, we've got a little we've got a little double top here in the S&P, haven't we? Tweezer top on a 4 hour. If we look at the DAX, the European index, this is here's a daily chart of this one. You can see that we've been in a very tight sideways range now, 5 days, can't make a new high, haven't managed to break above last week's high, stuck in a little sideways range, looking a little bit toppy, I think. So potentially a little bit of a warning sign in those. Okay, so let's look at some more altcoins and see which ones are outperforming Bitcoin and which ones don't seem to care what Bitcoin is doing. First one, we're going to look at Ethereum. I'm going to look at Ethereum Bitcoin. I keep looking at this one thinking, are we going to break higher from here? We're at a big 38.2 fib level. I feel like we've made 5 waves up. This is a typical behavior for a wave 4 pattern in Ethereum against Bitcoin. And when this wedge breaks, I'm expecting it to break to the upside from this 38.2 fib level. And then the next upside target is 0.0377. But until we break out, there's really not very much to do. You know, the daily uptrend is intact as long as we stay above this low here. And, you know, we're just going sideways basically in ETH Bitcoin. Yeah, just waiting for that bullish signal. Maybe the 20 moving average needs to catch up. So, so far so good in ETH. And when this turns up again, I think it's time to, you know, perhaps increase some ETH rather than Bitcoin in your portfolio. So when we look at ETH US dollar, we're in a pretty similar scenario. Let's look at it with regular candlesticks. Yesterday we looked all set to make a new high in ETH and close at a new high. The problem is that we didn't do it. We didn't manage. Here's our high here. This one, isn't it? That's the high in the middle. And we couldn't close at a new high. When you do that, when you make a new high, but you can't close, and the close is, you know, midnight UK time, it's when they stop trading at the end of the day in the US, and in Asia they go to a new calendar day. That's how. It's nothing to do really with the UK. It's just when they switch over to a new calendar day. And so when you get this pattern where you see a new high but you can't close above it, that's a swing failure pattern. It's normally a sign that this is just a correction, and we're going to pull back and test support. If we look at this rally that we had, you remember impulsive waves are normally 5 waves and corrective waves are normally 3 waves. If we do that here, then this from this low to this high, project it from here. We haven't quite got to that equal measured move thing. It's not, you know, it's not screaming bearish yet. I think we've got room to go a little bit higher. We're really just in a little bit of sideways consolidation in Ethereum, a bit like Bitcoin, sideways consolidation at the highs. But because we've got this swing failure double top thing, there is the potential that we drop a little bit lower in Ethereum. If we put our fibs on from these lows and we look at where we stopped so far, back to the 38.2, you know, it's very similar to a double top. It's no different to what Bitcoin does. I think if Bitcoin makes a bigger pullback, Ethereum will do the same. If Bitcoin breaks above 60,000 and keeps going, Ethereum will say thank you very much and keep going too. It's all pretty much in sync in this market at the moment. There are some that are outperforming though, and we should definitely look at those. So the first one, I'm going to have to do a little bit of shuffling here to get my list up, because we've got quite a long list tonight, haven't we? And I think the next one we're going to look at is Ripple. Here we go. Kill the sound. There we go. So we're going to look at Ripple. Ripple and Litecoin have been outperforming. I've got Ripple Euro, and let me switch to Ripple Dollar. And let's see where we are with this one. So Ripple US Dollar. On the weekly, you can see that we have made this beautiful, against the dollar, beautiful rounded bottom. Whenever you make a rounded bottom like this, then your target is from the bottom of the range to the neckline, measured and projected from the breakout point. So in Ripple, when we do that, where we are now is really at the target projection for this inverted head and shoulders pattern. That's how you calculate your target when you have a breakout. And so what we're seeing here, I think, for people who have bought Ripple as a bit of a lottery ticket, is a little bit of profit taking, because we've reached this big target. For me, as somebody who looks at fibs and particularly fib retrace levels, I think that whilst we hold above 1.33, that this looks pretty good to keep going higher. The problem is we're really stretched, you know, and so potentially we may need to go sideways here for a little bit longer while these daily moving averages catch up. But holding above 1.3375 for me is super bullish. So if we look at the lower time frame, you can see that we are holding on really nicely. 4 hours, a really nice sideways range. There's lots to like about this. In fact, you know, once it's ready, I think it'll go. It'll maybe retest the highs. We may do a bigger correction where we break out from this range, retest the highs, come back and retest the lows again. You know, remember, we came up here very fast on legal news, and it's quite a while before this one will end up in court. So what we need is kind of more good news or signs of more good news to sustain it. I think it's quite nice to hold a little bit of Ripple because a few things have gone in their favor at the moment, and it may be that they, out of the blue, we get a settlement. And if a settlement comes for Ripple, then they have a lot of catch up to do compared to a lot of the other alts, and I think that this will take off. So keeping a little Ripple is like keeping a little bit of a lottery ticket. But at the moment, I think we're in line for some more sideways consolidation whilst this moving average catches up. So a really good level, just maybe not a great time to buy some more yet. So what about Litecoin? Because Litecoin has been doing a little bit of a catch up. One of the cool things about, you know, everybody says, oh, Litecoin, I've got Litecoin against Ethereum here. One of the main reasons I was looking at this is you know, when you want to diversify, is Litecoin outperforming Ethereum? I think it potentially could. So of all the PayPal coins that are being added, Litecoin is the one really that has is the cheapest and the fastest to use as a payment. And so although people say, oh, we know Litecoin, I think for that reason that it does have some more decent upside. If we look at the weekly, so remember when you said, that person who said, where did the red lines in Bitcoin come from? In Bitcoin, I measured the big wave one from way back when it started like this, and I measured it and projected it. In this case, we're looking at wave 3 because this has a relationship to wave 1. But once we've done wave 4, I would move it because wave 1 and wave 5 very often have a relationship. So for me, if this is wave 2, we haven't, I don't think, done a wave 4 yet. We're still in wave 3 and the next upside target, because wave 3 is usually 1.618 or 2.618 of wave 1. So the next big target for Litecoin dollar for me is up here between 335 and 350. And this breakout on the weekly last week from this sideways range means that Litecoin is a really nice buy on pullbacks to test support to keep going higher. I think this is a major breakout for Litecoin. And so, yeah, buying pullbacks. And you see, once we got here, this is the level. When we got above it here, we didn't find support. We dropped back underneath it. This time, this is what you want to see when you have a breakout. You come back and test the level, and it keeps going higher. And that's what we've got. And we've also got Litecoin at new highs. So a little pullback here on the daily. If we hold the 50%, so when you have a big up candle like this, as like we had on Saturday, then normally 50% back is of the open close of this candle is where the support which should be. As long as we don't close, as in the end of the day, below this level, then we stay bullish and looking for Litecoin to find support there and keep going higher. So looking good. One thing that makes me sometimes a little bit nervous is this may be 5 waves up. If that happens, we will see a bigger correction back to these lows and back to the support level that we broke above before we go higher. And that could be between 221 and 225 for Litecoin. So Just we need to be aware of that because we've got 5 waves up. Whenever once you've got 5 waves up, you could see a 3-wave correction before you get going again. So I'm only going to be bearish in Litecoin if we drop back below 220. And I'm looking for ideally support somewhere around 235, 237. But we may see a bigger pullback to retest 220 before we go up again in Litecoin dollar. Okay, so short, that's the bigger picture view. Short term, we've made a nice little ABC equal measured move here today. It's possible that we could just rally from here. You see how we've stopped at exactly 2 equal swings at 240? This, you know, that's a pretty good look for a rally. So potentially, I think if you're holding some, you know, let's see if we can turn higher from here and keep going. If we can, the next upside resistance is 268. That's the big 61.8 level. And above 268, of course, 334 and 350 are my big targets. So, yeah, leads Bitcoin very often. So Litecoin will go first, make a move first, and then Bitcoin will follow. So that would be quite a good signal for potentially Bitcoin breaking above our 60,000 resistance. So that's what I'm watching out for in that one. So here's a few more. I'm starting with the ones that I think are better looking charts and have more potential to go higher rather than just requests. And cake is one of the charts like that. So now we're in a 5th wave in cake, I think, potentially. Let's put regular candles on. So here's our wave 1. And up we go. I really like how, so we're climbing up retrace fibs. So when you have high to low, normally you think of them I think of them as a sort of ladder. So, you know, if you, for example, here, when we stopped at this 786 fib level, as long as we didn't drop back below this 61.8, we're going to stay in an uptrend. Then we got above it, we stopped at this 886 level. As long as we don't close below this 786 fib level, we're still in an uptrend and looking to keep going higher from here. So yeah, cake's in a really nice uptrend and setting up very nicely, I think, for a new high as well. And in this one, it's done a bit of a funky correction. But yeah, I kind of like this too, to keep plugging higher. Sometimes I draw it as a channel. As long as we stay in the channel, as you know, I use moving averages. So here's my 20 moving average on the 4 hour. As long as we stay above that, we're still going up. But you could also draw it as a channel. And as long as we stay in this channel, we are still going up as well. Not quite clear that this is enough of a correction before we go up again. And I'm wrong. We're going to be wrong. I wouldn't buy this right now, but gosh, if we just break this sideways hourly back to the 61.8, but usually when you reverse at an 886 fib like this, if you break this 786, your target is back to the 50. So we would have to wait to buy cake again at 1915. So, and that's also where the daily 20 moving average is. So that's what I'm looking for in that one. As long as cake stays above 25.35, still bullish, but a pullback to 1915 if we break that level. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Okay. Next one that's holding up pretty well is STX. Let's go and look for that one. Here we go. Blockstack. Let's take a quick peek against Bitcoin, because this is one of those, you know, I like to make sure that they are going up against Bitcoin if you're going to spend your Bitcoin on them. And this one absolutely is. And what I really like about this is this is another coin that made a really good bottom. Look, like this. And when we break out, this is where we pull back to for support, and we're going up again. So a really good look in Blockstack Bitcoin. So what is also interesting about this is for corrections. So for me, when you rally and you get to a 50% level, and that's where you reverse, if you break underneath the 38.2, you're looking to do 50% back. And so here, that's exactly what we did when we came down to this low here. So we went 50% up, 50% back. And so now we're in that 50% pattern. So let's hide this, because 50% is going to, from this high to low, is going to be where our problem comes. And that's what we need to break above if we're going to go higher. So here we are at that 50% level. That was the high today. That's what we need to break above if we're going to go up. Otherwise, we risk a 50% back before we get going. So Crypto Bro says, next, Nick, let's do the DeFi blue chips because they had the biggest beta today. Okay, which ones would you like to look at? Do you think that? Okay, so Blockstack, as long as we hold 3541, still going up. A little bit of a risk though, having got stuck again at this 50% pullback level. A little bit of a risk now that we're going to come, especially with this ABC, that if we break this support, we're going to come back 50%, which would mean back towards 33,200. Okay, next one we're going to look at. These are all requested by my group, so I'm going to keep going with them. So, sorry, matey, but if there's a really good one out there, we'll take a look. Next one we're going to look at is Algorand. Here we go, Algorand. Now this one, let's start with the weekly chart of Algorand. So I feel like this is in this a big ABC correction. You know, when you have a big pullback like this, the main thing you want to know when we start going up again is this a new upswing, or are we still doing part of the correction? And so the main thing that I look at, because here we made a very nice 3-wave correction, didn't we? We could very easily resume the uptrend from here, but you want to look at how it rallies. If it's choppy and overlapping and 3 waves or you know, and the first and third are equal, then that's usually a sign that this is not a new upswing, this is a correction. And here in ALGO, now sometimes they start off looking choppy and overlapping, and then they kind of speed up and you're okay. But in this one, we've gone ABC, haven't we? Equal moves here, and that's where we're stuck at. So I'm a bit worried that this is an A and a B, and we're going to do another leg lower from here. What would confirm it for me? Well, if I draw in that 61.8 level, back below that, or back below those lows, that would be bearish. So 131.50. So we're going to see a bigger correction if we drop back underneath 1.3149. Otherwise, you know, we need to break above this bearish symmetry and go beyond 152.37 and start seeing some strong upside movement. Otherwise, I'm afraid this whole rally from the February low in ALGO is just a sort of a B leg in a bigger correction pattern. Okay. Peter Wilkie, happy birthday. I'll see if I can do Vesper at the end. Just going to do as many as I can. So ADA, look at ADA all the time. Still waiting to see if ADA is going to break out and go higher again. So again, I feel like this is in a sideways consolidating pattern. We've had an A and a rally and a... Is this correction complete from here, or are we making a big triangle? Okay, because sometimes, normally corrections are 3 waves. So you have a big rally and you'd be like that and off you go again. Sometimes though, they are 5 waves because they are triangles or wedges, and potentially also what Bitcoin is doing. And so here, you know, if we don't break out to new highs and we do another leg lower, we'll know it's a triangle. And I'm looking at this to see, you know, does it look impulsive? Are we starting up again? I have to say it's not very compelling at the moment, is it? And we're stuck in the middle. And so it all looks like a giant correction. So if you've got a big bag of ADA, no reason to panic. This is just a correction, not a top. But I'm not convinced that this is about to kind of go again. Now, we are breaking higher from this kind of range that we've been in. And let's take a look and see how we're doing with that. But it's just I'm not gotta say I'm not if we look at you know, they call it the golden ratio zone in between the 61.8 and the 38.2, and that's what we've been in here, this golden ratio zone. There's the 38.2, there's the 61.8. So if we can close above it, which we are trying to, that'd be very good news. Next upside would be the 786 at 1.377, and then the highs, and then yeah, potentially we are on our way. But yeah, it's all about this 1.294 level and what we're going to do here. When I look at it on the hourly, this looks pretty nice. This looks like a really nice ABC pullback, ready to go again. You know, look, loads to like, just turning up again, momentum. When you look at wave 4, for me on the RSI, if it's really only a wave 4, I like to only see it come back to the 50% and go again. And so it's doing that. So actually this is, to me, it looks like ADA is holding the support and about to make a push higher. So let's see. So 1.377, then 1.48 takes you to the top of the ADA range. And if we break out of the top of the range, we're in our next leg. Next leg takes us to 1.79. So a lot to do to get out of this consolidation pattern, haven't we? But yeah, looking pretty good on the hourly to get to the top at least. Okay, XLM and ZRX. XLM, we've been watching this in my group for a pullback to be finished, and we turn higher again. If I look at it on the daily with regular candles, you can see that yesterday's candle was pretty bearish, wasn't it? And we've got 5 ways up. So whenever you've got that, it always makes me a little bit nervous that we are going to see a bigger pullback. I'm going to take all that away, and I'm just going to... So this wave 3, when I put my fibs on from the whole swing, if you close underneath the 236 fib or it becomes resistance, that normally points to a bigger correction. So I would say XLM US dollar, be very careful. I think that we could see a bigger pullback here than people are expecting, because this is a wave 3. Look, this is 1, 2, 3, I think. Then the most common retrace of a wave 3 is 38.2, which is here at 0.536. But, you know, when you extend, we could come back to this 50% perhaps, or even this bit lower to this 61.8 in these lows. So for sure, I think we're looking at 0.536 and another swing lower in XLM. So far, it looks like we're holding the lows, doesn't it? I'm not super convinced yet, let's put it that way. I think we've got more downside to come for XLM before we go up again. And I'd be looking at 0.536 as a good level to pull back by. Next one we're going to look at is ZRX. So I bought some ZRX on the breakout last week. So here's our daily chart. Here's our I'm going to zoom out so we can on the weekly, and we'll look at where these levels came from. I'm just going to, actually I don't need log scale. So I put my fibs on from this high to this low, and this was the 1.618 extension of this swing, if you like. That's where we paused and couldn't get above when we tried it in February. Now we're trading above that level. As long as we stay above that level, I'm looking for the 2.618 next, which is all the way up here at 3.19 for my target. So happy days. There are going to be some interim levels, but that would be my target. They're not going to be the high, I don't think. So when you break above a big support and resistance level like this 1.618, you look for it to come back and be support. That's exactly what we've done. We've got a nice little double bottom look. So a break of this wedge here for me is a nice long entry in ZRX for the next swing higher. So those are the levels that I'm looking for. If I put in, so the interim levels where we might bang our head are 2.47 and 2.75, but my target is 3.19. Okay. So yeah, getting ready to go again in ZRX dollar. TRX, haven't looked at this one for a little bit. Let's take a look. Okay, now let's go to the weekly. Okay. So if this was our TRX dollar, if this was our wave 1, and now this is our wave 2, so we went A, B, C. Here's our wave 3 that we're in. I think we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're in our 5th wave, holding and staying above this 2.618 level at 0.1335, points me to an upside target of 0.2 next, which is really nice for a target. But the fight over this level isn't quite done, and potentially we could be doing a big wave 4 here. If we look still, this is this was an irregular wave 4 where we had a, I think where we had a pullback and a slightly higher high and a lower low, and up we went. So this should be more simple, but I can't count in here 3 waves. This doesn't look like enough of a B wave to be finished. But if we make a new high, then it is. And you can't, sometimes you never know until it just takes off. And so far, this is not too choppy and overlapping. This looks pretty good. Would I buy it right here though? I'm not sure. I think I might let it go a little bit, and because we've got such a nice big target. It just makes me a little bit nervous, because if one is going to do this corrective thing, then they all are. So you can see if I measure this first swing, project it from here, that where we've stopped is that equal measured move level. So we really need to push beyond that, really, to get rid of that kind of bearish symmetry there. We look like we're going to, but until these candles close, you never really know. So key support and resistance above 1335. I say, yeah, buy the pullback. Let's see it keep going. But there's a risk here that this was just the first swing. So we're going to do a bit of this, and potentially a bit of this before we go again. We might just retest the lows. Sometimes that happens. But unless we can get above here, that's what we could be looking at. That doesn't mean that bigger picture, I don't really like this, or I'm not really bullish. I am really bullish. I do really like this chart, but we could see a bigger pullback. So PRQ was requested. Let's see that one. Now, here we go. Just make sure I'm looking at the right one. Just get up the questions. Okay, I can't find them, so there we go. Let's just get my Slack chat up. So Paris token. Let's take a look at this one big picture. Very often when coins first launch, they don't make those big impulsive 5-wave patterns. They tend to make 3 waves while they kind of figure themselves out and keep going. And this to me looks like one of those. This is one of those new coins finding its feet. And so big, you'll see big ABC or 3-wave corrections like this. So when we measure this last one here, this again looks a little bit like that's what we are doing here, doesn't it? So we've gone up and there we go. And you can see from this low to this high, projected from here, these swings are equal. Now we've got a reversal. So we use the same rule here. If we can't break above the equal measured move and we break back below this 61.8 level, then we are headed lower. And this will be the first swing, rally, second swing. So then we'll measure it the other way. So, okay, no, we have to go over both swings. There we go. Like this, we would be coming back to what, we'd be coming back to 7 million potentially, and gosh, all the way down here if we do the whole equal measured move thing. So a little bit of risk, I think, with PRQ, that we are going to see a bigger swing lower here. So be a little bit careful. Now, for people ask me about this, I use the fib, trend-based fib extension like this. Okay, when you put it on, so if you look at, again, if we're measuring this ABC here, I'm just going to show you how I do this. So like this, 1, 2. So you can measure, you know, when swings are equal. Okay, when you first put it on Trading View, if I put it back to apply default, it's going to look like this. Okay, so you kind of need to extend it to see all the levels. I don't like all that color. So for me, I get rid of the background. I usually make it all one color, like that. And then I take out the ones that I don't want, because I really only want the 61.8 for when I make these the fib projections. And then I like the 1.618, 2.618. I like 1272 as well, and so on. And so that's how I draw it like this. And then I also, because it then looks like this, extend the lines. So yeah, I can't see where I do that. Extend the lines, right, there we go. And so that's how I draw and use that tool, in case you're wondering. Okay, next one we're going to look at, yeah, so not liking your PRQ, sorry, not that it's not that I don't like it, I just think that, yeah, it's kind of not ready. I'm just going to see what the person who asked for it said about it. Alex T didn't say. Okay. Okay. I can't believe nobody. Anyway, let's look at Doge. Is it Doge next? No. It's Sushi. Let's go see what Sushi's doing. Pretty sure we had a good look at Sushi this morning. Here we go. Oh, very nice reversal today in Sushi then. This is pretty good. So in this one, look, I've got my fibs from this low to the high. This was a very messy, it looked like we had got underneath this 38.2 and we were headed lower. That normally would mean down to the 50%. Okay, so remember, they're just support and resistance levels. If you break them, you know you've done it. And here, this big bullish reversal back above this level is a really big deal. Also, we can count 5 waves down or potentially a 3 drives pattern. So looking good for a reversal. Let's take these fibs away and put them the other way, because the 236 fib, if we can close above that, should be support, and we have bottomed. And that's exactly where we are. So 15.81. So now tomorrow, if you're going to be looking for a pullback after this bullish close, if we get it, 15.81 would be the first place that I would be looking for a pullback to for support. And the second place that I would look back to is this daily 20 moving average here. And the daily 20 moving average is at 15.48 if I look left here. 15.48. So somewhere between those two, tomorrow would be where I would be looking for a pullback to. If we look at this rally, it's 5 waves. That means you need 3 waves of correction before it's finished and it will be going up again. So it might look like that. It might look like this. But you need to be able to see 3 waves before it will continue up again. So Sushi, very nice bullish reversal today. Not quite out of trouble. Haven't made a new high or back above the 50, but looking quite good for one, and quite good, really quite a nice level to, you know, be bouncing from, isn't it? From all these straggly lows here. Yeah, looking good in Sushi. Bitcoin, BTCSTUSDT, okay, which is gotcha. The BTC DeFi coin. So we're going to look at BTCSTUSDT. Now, nasty gap really on the daily in that one. Do you know, it's very hard when you have a new coin like this, because you don't really have that much to go on. Like, you could say, put the fib retest on this low to high. You could look at the level. I'm going to take it out of log scale first off, and you could look at the level that we rallied to, 50%. Couldn't hold the 50% back though. That was here, wasn't it? So dropped all the way back. Must be some news back to the bottom. I'm not sure what's going on here. So now we try again. Let's put it on and treat it like a ladder. So in fact, take that off. We'll go from this high to down here. So the first thing to note is we've got this gap. Okay, my feeling about gaps are, if they're not filled very quickly, as in 2 to 3 days, they become support and resistance. So the top of this, bottom of this gap here is resistance, and the top of this gap up here is resistance as well. So we aren't going to go in and fill this gap unless we close above this high here. That's major resistance. That's the first thing. The second thing, when I look at this here, it looks quite nice because we've got really nice 5 waves up. And so at this point, is this a good place for a new entry in this one? I would say not, unless we either closed above this support and resistance, in which case you can buy against it on pullbacks. But I think we're a little bit stretched in BTS, US dollar tether. I'd like to see a bit of a pullback here before I got in. I'd be marking this from the lows. Just some really red, you know. You're buying a market that's gone up almost in a straight line like this, you know, for over a week. I just don't think it's clever unless you get a bit of a pullback. So if this is to be a bit of a high, because it is a major level, the first place I would be looking back to see if we could buy it on support is 77.8. But more likely, I think, is it 77.8? No, 77.65. But more likely, I think that 38.2 or the 50%. could be lining up, and I really do like this double top high to buy back against this. So 68.16 I think would be probably my favorite level. That's where the daily 20 moving average is as well. So either 77.65 or 68.16 for BTST tether on a pullback. Not a buy really after this kind of parabolic rally at the moment. Okay, next one we are going to look at is okay, PRQ. I wrote it twice. Lots of people must be asking for it. Shame we didn't like the chart so much at the moment. Let's take a look at Doge. I tweeted this chart, so my messy chart. So there's a few things to note. Let's go to the weekly chart and center this. So there's a few things to note. I put my fib retraces on this most recent swing. So that would mean from this low to this high. And we pull back perfectly 50%. That would normally mean if we're going to have some trouble, it's going to be at 50% of this drop. And we haven't done it. We've pushed beyond it. So Doge against Tether, for me, is looking really good. The other place that we would be concerned if we stopped at would be the equal measured move level, which we initially did here. But after a pullback, we've continued, and we're now above this bearish symmetry. So for me, Doge dollar is looking really good to keep going higher. I'm going to clean up my chart now and we'll look at the possibilities. First off, we'll go from this low to this high. I'll take that away and we'll see where we have stopped, because I think we're above the 61.8, which should mean that we keep going, and we will. There we go. So we've stopped at again, from this high to this low. It's a staircase. We stopped at the 786. If we drop back below that 61.8, we're going to see a bigger correction. And a bigger correction when you reverse to the 786 means all the way back to this 38.2, sometimes a bit lower to the 236. But that would be your minimum target. Sometimes it would come back to here. So now we know that 0.0697 is major support for Doge if we're going to keep going higher. So now we're going to look at what's going on here on this level. Looks pretty nice. And we're going to see if we can turn up again from here. Right? Momentum is just starting to turn up again. This looks like a very nice ABC equal measured move correction, doesn't it? So from here, this swing here is equal to this swing here. If you don't believe me, I'll move them over. Look, there, perfect, equal. So perfect place to turn up again. Let's put our fibs on this way. Above the 236 fib, a close above it, will be going up. So above 0.0712. We've got bunched up moving averages. Now what will kill this is if everything else goes down. So if we were to lose these lows, we're in a bigger correction scenario. But Doge should turn up high from here. What I really like about Doge is the pattern in Doge Bitcoin. We'll take a quick look. So watching to see if we can rally from this support level. Let's pull back to where I wanted to see it. That's my dog back snoring. That's not me, by the way. Now let's get rid of the Haikanashi. I thought we had a really nice breakout from what looks like a really good support and resistance level against Bitcoin. Now, as you know, when you have these big thrust candles, I'm always looking for 50% back of the body. So that means between the open and the close to be support, which is kind of where we are now. So I'm looking to rally from here. And I'd really like to see on the weekly that we don't actually close back underneath this level that we've broken up against. So we've got a few days, obviously, till the weekly close. But on the daily, this is kind of really the support, the ideal support. So a Doge dollar and Doge Bitcoin, for me, are at the ideal place, having made ABC corrections. So they look like they're ready to turn up higher again from here. Looking good in Doge. UDTWETH. Let me see why we're looking at this one. Mohammed, UDTWETH is new and you think it's great. Thank God. Let's see if we've got a good one here. Let's see. Okay, UDT. Unlock discount token. Sometimes it can be a great thing. If nobody knows about it, the chart might not look so good. I'm going to look at it on the 4-hour. Yeah, I'm very impressed with how we are holding these 4-hour moving averages. But clearly we've gone into a little bit of consolidation here, which we need to break out from. So we're bunching up a bit, aren't we? Like this. We've got a little pennant. So a break of the upside does look really good here. I think we can count 5 waves up, and then that would count, you know, we would have one of those 5-wave correction triangles. So yeah, how would we okay, so see, I put my fibs on from this high to low, which is the biggest kind of corrective move that we've had, isn't it? And see how we stopped at the 1272 here? I think my next upside target therefore is going to be 1.34 and then 1.56. I might also, so 1.34 and 1.56. If we break out of this triangle, I would also do this. And that says 1.3 and 1.46. So they don't quite line up, but it's pretty, no, 1.47. Yeah, 1.46, 1.47 looks pretty good, like quite a lot of confluence for a target. So yeah, I do like this. Let's see if we can break out from this wedge pattern to the upside in UDTWETH. Okay, next one we're going to look at is COCOS. Let's just save this chart. COCOS. Okay, is it going up against Bitcoin? Not compellingly, is it? Let's take a look at COCOS. And not, well, it's not going to go up against Binance Coin. Binance Coin has gone to the moon, hasn't it? So we'll spare ourselves this. Okay. Well, I'm a trend trader, okay? My favorite indicator are moving averages, daily moving averages. If we look at this nice rally that we've had in COCOS, and I hope I'm looking at the right one, then you can see that each time we've come back or close to this daily 50 moving average, we have pulled up and rallied away. The problem is here that we made a lower high, which means we're consolidating before we go up again. The key thing now is, are we going to hold on to this daily 50? Here's our consolidation. Are we going to hold on to this daily 50 moving average? Because if we don't, then we are liable for a drop back to retest the lows and the 200-day moving average. The problem when you new coins, remember I said they very often do make these 3-wave patterns and they go in a range, sideways range. So that's what we need to watch out for, because this is where we would be looking back to if we drop from here. So hopefully we don't. Hopefully this is a nice bullish triangle. We find support here and break to the upside, but or a bullish correction. Okay. The other alternative is that this becomes a bullish flag. Okay, and so we've gone 3 waves up, and we will do 1, 2, 3 waves back. And if we were to do that, one like this, then we can say that underneath 1.29 here, our support is 0.97. It's quite a lot to give back if we break down from this sideways range. So be a little bit careful in that one. Okay, so that's COCOS. Let's look at NEO. So remember that thing where about the relationship to wave 1. So if we measure wave 1 and we project from here, then wave 3 is either 1.618 or 2.618. We haven't quite reached our 2.618 level. I think we got close, but we haven't quite reached it. So I feel like we've got one more push higher in NEO, and I'm looking for 69. Now, that's if I use these fib projection targets. If I instead go back to the simple retrace targets, and we're going all the way from the all-time high to low here, then the other good news is that we've still got further to go in NEO to our target, because we're above the 236, and then the next upside target would be 78. So either way you look at it, I think that NEO's got a little bit more upside, either a little bit or quite a lot. Yeah. So sideways consolidation, wedge pattern, very common in a wave 4 position, usually breaks the upside, and then that's the last leg before you see a bigger correction. So there we go. We know where we were wrong here on the 4 hour. We'll break down from this triangle. Otherwise, we're looking to rally from here and break out on the top side of NEO US dollar. So 69.5 and then 78.26 targets. While theirs has been frustrating, to say the least. Okay, so first off, we've had this really, I've made projections using projections from each one of these corrections, and including this big one at the start. And I look for confluence where everything lines up together, and you can see that this worked pretty well for this high. You know, I could put I've cleaned this chart up a bit, but if I put some of the other ones in, like this 2.618, you can see this was perfect, and so on. So I'm leaning on these. That means that 14.19, well, really sort of down to 13.6, but 14 area is really good support for waves. After this breakout, we should look for support here, and then we carry on higher. Now, there's this is a Japanese candlestick pattern. So when you have a big thrust day like this, and then 3 little inside bars, I think it's called falling 3 methods. I'm just looking. Candlestick traders everywhere are going, ah. No, it's rising 3 methods, isn't it? Falling 3 methods is when you have the big down candle in a downtrend, and then you have 3 little ones up, and then you usually carry on. This is the inverse of that. So this one is called rising 3 methods. So we have a big rising candle, 3 little inside bars, and then we are going to look for the trend to continue a next leg up. And the target for that in waves is somewhere going to be between 21 and 22.8. So are we ready to go up again? I'm not sure. We need to get rid of this drawing. Okay. So if we just look at this 4 hour chart, if a downtrend, listen, if a downtrend is lower highs and lower lows, as soon as you take out that previous lower high and you make a higher low, you're going up again, aren't you? So if we apply that simple theory to waves here, before we get out our fibs or anything clever, we know that if we get above this high here, 16.10, we're probably going up again and look for a pullback to buy. So we'll get above this level, look for a pullback to buy. And so that would be my simple, easy way to look for, has waves bottomed and it's going up again. Another way, another way is to put the 236 fib on in this one, and then above that, that's going up, because that's for me the Fibonacci trend. And if you look, as usual, it's in the same place, so same price. So whichever you use, that's what I am looking for, to tell us that waves is going up again above 16.03. A nice 4-hour or hourly close would be good. Okay, I know everyone's asking for so many and coins. I hope that hello Connor. Okay, oops, I just lost my need to get this back so I can find my list. Okay, so we've done Warvez, AUDI. Is it Audi or audio? I can't remember. How embarrassing. Audio US dollar tether. I wrote it wrong. Sorry. It's audio, as we say in England. Okay, audio. US dollar tether. Let's see. Boom. So here's our nice weekly chart. Let's see where we pull back to and how we're doing in this one. And then we want to see kind of, is our correction complete? So from the all-time lows to the highs I'm going to do here. Where did we come back to? That was a bit messy. Maybe the market was looking at this most recent swing. 61.8. Okay, that's what it looks like. So when you bounce from a 61.8, this 50% is in the middle is a bit of a pivot. Very often we've got through that tonight. And so above this 38.2, we'll be going up again. What you very often see when you do that 61.8, 38.2 thing, which is what I think we're doing here, is you very often see us tag the 31 and then come back to the middle and go up again. And so this 50% continues as a pivot. And if that's what we're already doing here, which it looks like, doesn't it? Then here's our support. And on this pullback, we're going to look for this support to hold, and we continue and turn up again. So 2.6647. So if you're in audio, look for this level to hold as support, 2.66, and turn up again and continue higher. Let's go back to the daily. Yeah, so far so good. Then of course we're going to look for 3.89. Then above that we're going to look for new highs. Then we're going to use these pullbacks to project, or we'll measure the, let's put it on log, auto. Yeah, I think I'm going to do some projecting this way first. Okay. So retest the highs at 4.99, and then the 1272, 1.618, those are the levels that I'd be looking for. So 5.77, 6.76, and so on. Audio does look like it's turning up again. Let's see if 2.79 holds a support overnight. 2.79. Okay, next one we're going to look at is YFI. Now, Brandon says YFI broke the 45k support and retraced to the 42k area. What do we think it's going to do next? Let's take a look at YFI, see what's going on. Let's hope I can. Here it is. So the first thing we want to check is we don't really have any nasty bearish symmetry here. Potentially we do. I'm going to say that I think at this point that we could come back further to 38 or 39. And that's also where the daily 20 moving average is. So, damn, that's annoying. This could go a little bit lower because this is a 786 fib retrace in YFI. How annoying. So, you know, when you reverse it, potentially, listen, when you reverse it to 786, which is this price here, if you break underneath 61.8, okay, that's rubbish. I'm ruining everything. If you reverse it to 786, if you break underneath the 61.8, that confirms the reversal, and we're looking for at least the 38.2, which is here at 37156. So the close tonight will be important. Either we're going to hold this level and we're going to turn around and go higher again, or we've got a bigger pullback coming for YFI. Daily close is going to be what counts. So let's see if we can snatch it back and rally from here. Okay. 4, 3, 3, 4, 8. Okay, good luck in YFI. Back above this support and resistance level will make a big difference. If we can't, we're still headed lower. Correction is still on in YFI and we need to wait. Okay, for longer, let's Atom, Harmony, KSM. So Atom, let's see if there was a question that came with it. No. Okay. Just gonna have a quick drink. Okay. Atom. Now this is one of those charts where, so remember, this first swing of correction in Atom doesn't look like a completed 3 waves, did it? And this rally became really choppy and overlapping. So when I measured from here to here, this 61.8 level was resistance. And we said if we got above it, we would be looking for a target up here at 25.8, which was the equal measured move. I think that we're above it, and I think that we're going to close above this level. It's now support. So I'm looking for it to hold, and one more push higher in Atom, and then, yeah, a bigger drop before we go up again. So that's what I'd be looking for. Okay. So Atom holding 22.24 has a date with 25.80 next, and then a bigger pullback, unfortunately. This is a really nice looking little correction here. Let's see if we can rally from here in Atom. Okay, next one we're going to look at is Harmony. Haven't... Okay, that's 1, isn't it? The ticker for that is ONE. Okay. Okay, ONE. Let's start with the weekly, because we've got these fib projections here. Again, I put my fib from this high to this low, okay? And all of these numbers that I use, they're fib ratio numbers. They're not Fibonacci numbers. They're the ratio between the Fibonacci numbers in a sequence. And except for 314, which of course is pi, I put all them in. Okay, and so this is where I get them from. And I put my fibs from this high to this low, and I watch and see the reactions that I get at these levels, and that's how I know that they're working. So here on the daily, yeah, we've got this double. Even if we hadn't put these fibs here, we've got this little double top, haven't we? Swing failure pattern. So when you do this, this is what we had here. When you break the level in the middle, when you have a little double top, look, there's our double top. When you break the level in the middle, you go twice that distance. So we've met that target. So we could, you know, just using those simple old-fashioned technical analysis tools, say this is support. Okay, but having not done that, these are pretty good fib levels. My issue with this is, does that look like three waves correction? It doesn't. So I feel like this is another one where it's going to go like this, and then we're going to see a correction like that, and then we're going to finish like that. So it doesn't make me want to buy it, but I wouldn't sell it if I had a load either, okay? It doesn't quite make me want to buy it yet. Back above this 20 moving average, that would be, for a pop higher, that would be a nice tool. Look, 0.15 is what I would want to see it above. 0.15. Okay, so that's one harmony. KSM, ENJ, and then SOL. So KSM, don't think I've got a chart for this ready. Let's have a quick peek. KSM. That comp looks ready to go again as well, doesn't it? Even Sushi hasn't given up. Okay. I'm going to start with our weekly charts at KSM. Now, I had originally put my fibs all the way from the big low to high, and I was very impressed by how KSM was holding this 236 fib and all ready to turn higher again. But remember, this is a weekly candle, and so we can have a really good look underneath and still close back above it on a Sunday night, which is when this candle closes. And I think that this on the daily is a pretty nice sideways range, potentially a little lower time frame high inverted head and shoulders pattern building, and that would be a good look. So above these highs here in the middle, above 470, 471, then that would be a really good look for KSM tether. I do think we're starting to turn higher from here. Yeah. Go back to the daily or the weekly. Yeah, for holding support then. Let's see if we can go higher from here. KSM, not a bad look at all, really. Not a bad look at all. Okay, I like it. I like the 4-hour 200 moving average. I really like the candlesticks. I think we should see a nice bounce in KSM from here back to the top of the range in the 470s, 470,000. ENJ. Now, I think I looked at this one this morning. If I didn't, it feels like it. Maybe it was just me poring over it. I think I spent quite a lot of time doing that. Sorry. Losing my marbles now. Here's engine coin. I've got it against the euro. Let's put it against the dollar. Spectra has the most chart history. Yeah, pretty good chart history. Okay. Well, this one's just sort of climbing its way up, isn't it? Let's put... $2.618, that works. Yeah, so remember the rule. We stopped at this fib level. As long as the queen doesn't stop back underneath this one, she's still going up. So 2.53 is support on this pullback. So far, and if we get back underneath 2.53, that's a bearish reversal and engine is going down. So far, this pullback looks really nice and choppy, overlapping, corrective, all getting ready to turn higher again. Hasn't done it yet, but that's what I'd be looking for at this point. I've got Heikinashii on, so it may distort it, but here we are at the 50% level in engine US dollar. It was support here, and we seem to be underneath it. So it's really important, if we are going to reverse the ship, that we recover this 3.0115 level. Because if we don't, then path of least resistance is lower and back to the range highs. Yeah, so I'm watching to see if this holds. Okay, Sol, the next one. One second. Okay. Now, let's put the weekly chart on. Now, it makes me a little bit nervous that this Sol was rejected at, the weekly 50 moving average, these previous lows. This is very strong resistance that keeps this in a downtrend. The only alternative would be if we find really strong support here and with good encouragement, perhaps we could turn higher from here and have another go. That's what I'd be looking for. Looks like it's very ambiguous, isn't it? It does look like 5 waves down. Anyway, all of our 4-hour moving averages are bunched up. So let's say if she breaks out above this, that's what I would like to be notified. I'm sure you would. So good luck, Harry. There must be a quiet way for you to... Anyway, let's put this alarm on here. That's going to be our early warning that Sol is going up again. Okay. I don't think I can... Jimmy Chu's still stuck in ONT. Haven't looked at ONT for a while. Let's take a look. That one kind of dropped off the radar. I just don't like how they launch, so I don't think I can open it. Okay. All right, I'm going to call it there. I'd like to see this consolidation break higher. Yeah, not much to say really. It's whenever your moving averages are flat, whenever they're sideways and all bunched up in the middle, you are not moving very much. You don't have any momentum and there is no trend. That's the most important thing to remember. Okay, good night everyone. Have a really good week. Let's go back to Bitcoin. And just remember, we think it's a little bit toppy. Not a huge sign of a big top, but just a little bit toppy. If we get a pullback, I think it'll be gift for... I've got family visiting this week. Peter, are you Vespa? Yes. Okay. VSP. Are we looking wrapped with Ether or Vespa Finance US dollar tether? I'm going to put it on the US dollar tether, and if you want the new one, let me know. Now, nasty pullback in this one. Sorry. Yikes, we're going to lose that 61.8. Okay. So if we close this week underneath this 61.8, we're going to continue lower to this 786 level at 34.089. Yikes, it's not looking terribly. I think this is just, yeah, potentially got a bit further to fall Vespa Finance. Unless we bounce back and we close back above 44.75, I think we could drop to 34. Peter Wilkie, sorry about that. Okay.